So if he wants to help Nigerian Christians, why is he not giving all Nigerian Christians a green card to America? No, Trump does not even like black people. So I'm like, well, if this person thinks this way, then why do we blame our grandfathers for being colonized? If you were in their era, you would have been colonized as well. 100%. We've gone through the democratic system where it has led us to.
No, but we must understand that violence is never ideal either.
It's never ideal, but even the Bible says the violent take it by force.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hearth of Thought as we explore the current challenges that the African continent is undergoing, from corruption to different crises, political, economic. I am going to have an interesting conversation with a young author who wrote this interesting and amazing book called Think Beyond the Chains. And we'll hear from the author herself, but she explores critical and necessary questions from why the people who have supposed freedom still behave as though they're still under chains, and she calls them invisible chains. And in her book, she explores a number of themes, from corruption to leadership crisis to our identity crisis as Africans. And it's important for us as young Africans who would be the future leaders of the continent to explore and pause and reflect. And our author calls us exactly to do that, to pause and reflect and ask ourselves these important questions about who we are and who we want to be, most importantly. So without further ado, welcome to the Hearth of Thought. Lionella Sache. For those who are watching, I'm just gonna let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit about why this conversation is important and what prompted her to write the book Think Beyond the Chains. So Lionella, tell us, your book was inspired by a few critical questions. And the one that stood out to me was where you were asking why people who are free, and I'm sure you're talking about independence, why are free people still thinking as though they were in chains? So what was that moment for you? If you can just introduce yourself, tell us about you and what it was that inspired you to delve into this topic and write this book.
Okay. Thank you very much, Carol, for the invitation. My name is Lionella. I'm Cameroonian of origin and a daughter of the African soil. So the reason behind Think Beyond the Chains is because I observed how we as Africans see each other, how we think, and how we see ourselves beyond being Africans. So one of the most important reasons was the fact that most Africans started seeing themselves after colonization. So it got me thinking, so what were we before colonization? And many didn't have an answer to that. So I got on, did more research, what we were before Africa, before being independent countries. We were empires and we were divided, but we share a lot of similarities, but many Africans don't know that today. And in this context, chains is not all about colonization. So as Africans, we have a lot of chains that keeps us bounded. So we have the chains of corruption, as you earlier mentioned, lack of credible leaderships. We have a lack of critical thinking. We also have a religious psychosis and fanaticism. And we have a lot of other stuff binding us that I feel like it keeps us from progressing. So a lot of people see the title Think Beyond the Chains and they think, oh no, it's just about colonization. I'm not interested in all those stuff, but it goes far beyond that.
So you mentioned a few invisible chains, as you said, corruption, division, and self-rejection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, why is it that colonization seems to be the main culprit? Why does it seem that we all blame colonization for where Africa is at today?
Mm-hmm.
So many years post-independence, and we're still carrying that weight of colonization, and we still seem to blame colonization for all our woes today. So
yeah, thank you for that. I think I was coming to that because I've noticed that when something happens back home, like if there's an issue of lack of competent leadership, we try to blame colonization. But yes, colonization played a part, but they left a long time ago, though there are still some.
Is that what you call the ghosts of colonization in your book?
Yes.
Why do you refer to it as a ghost? It's haunting us.
Because they're in the shadows, right? Because we keep, anytime something happens, we keep saying they're trying to divide us. They're trying to, so who is the they? And why are they using you? You are a full independent human being, so why are you using the they to define how you have to act, how you have to develop your country? And apart from the colonizers, we are Africans, so why do we Africans treat our Africans differently? You are a president of a country. Why don't you treat your citizens in a good way? But when the citizens try to strike back, people keep saying, oh no, we can't blame them because they are in control. Why do you let yourself to be controlled? So that's the question. Why?
So, I guess it's important for us to, before blaming, we have to look inwards.
Yeah.
And you talk about the African and African bias.
Yeah. So that's why I said we keep using colonization as a scapegoat. As a scapegoat, we don't see what we do to each other. So that brings us to the topic of black on black hate. So we see how black people mistreat black people kill black people make black people suffer, because who are those at the government
Kidnapping each other.
Who are they
Stealing from
still
each
black
other.
people? Yeah, and it goes far beyond leadership. Even in a normal cashiers, as we call it in Cameroon, one of normal stores, you want to buy something from someone, they triple the price.
That's dishonest.
Yeah, they are dishonest.
Yeah.
So leadership does not only start from the top, it also starts from the bottom. If we cannot be honest as normal civilians, when we reach that stage, I don't think we would be honest. Many people say, oh, if I am made president of Cameroon or of this particular country tomorrow, I will make it better. But how will you make it better when you are not better now? So that's the.
Would you say the multi-ethnic nature of the African continent, would you say that plays a role? Because when we talk about discrimination and how ethnic divisions shape our politics, I know you talk in the book about politics that's based on like a tribal kind of politics or ethnic based, or this is us versus them, tribalism.
Yeah, I feel like that's one thing also holding African backwards, tribalism. For example, if we want to like have an election now, people will mostly go for who is from the tribe. Yeah. So they don't go for who is more competent. And when something happens, or for example, in Cameroon, who'll be like, les Bami sont comme ça, les Biti sont comme ça, I will never leave a Bamenda person take power. Just because of tribalism, you don't look at the competent. What can this person do for you apart from looking at their tribes? So I feel like it's the same thing with Nigerians. We see every day Yorubas are fighting Igbos, Hausas are fighting the rest of the country. We see it in Ghana, Twiz against the Akans. It is basically everywhere in Africa. And that's one reason I feel like African can never unite, because in our own countries, we are divided by tribalism, nepotism, a lot of stuff. So I feel like
would you say it's a lingering side effect of colonialism, because the divide and rule strategy that was implemented, because that was pretty much the tricks they used, right? Dividing people and getting people against each other so they can control them better. So would you say colonization in that aspect has left this lingering habit that we have of being divisive, or is it something that's inherently a product of the multi-ethnic nature of the continent? Because even before colonization with the empires, there was still wars, rivalry between tribes. So how do you think we as African people can fight or combat this tribalism? And we see that, I know you mentioned different discriminations that happen across the continent. We talk about xenophobia, for example, and there's many countries like not the most African experience, where other Africans would go there and so what is it that is causing us to be in such a divisive state, and how can we fight that? Because I believe that it's important for us as young Africans to not repeat the mistakes of the generations before us. So how can we as young people fight this discrimination that we're experiencing and inflicting upon each other? So as you mentioned again, does colonization play a role? Yes, it did. But still, it left a long time ago. So what can we as individuals do to overcome that? Firstly, we have to see ourselves as Africans, not as Ghanaians, as Nigerians, as Cameroonians, as Bangladeshis, as Petit. We have to see ourselves as Africans from African descent. When we keep that aside, then we cannot move forward. It's the same thing happening in the US right now. Black Americans that don't see themselves as Africans. So we already have that disparity. So for us Africans to be
like to come together and fight all the tribalism. First, we have to keep that aside and see ourselves as one people.
What would make us see each other as one? And
We have to do that.
One thing that stands out to me is there's a lot of similarities between us in different countries. When I'm lurking on social media and I see content from someone from country A or country B, and other people from another country say, "Oh, in my country we have this. In my country we say this." I know, like a lot of people from Sierra Leone, when they hear Cameroon speaking Pidgin, they're like, "Oh, I can hear everything you're saying."
Exactly.
You know, and there's a lot of tribes that find their ancestry in different countries due to, you know, the separation of the partitioning, right?
Yeah.
So you'd see maybe people in some parts of Cameroon that have ancestry in Nigeria or you know, Sierra Leone or wherever. Even names, there's names that we have.
Names.
Yeah. So I think focusing on the things that bring us together, the things that unite us, could be a good place to start and say, hey, we have more similarities than we do have differences. We're more alike than we are different.
I feel like it's a good place, but we can't do that without proper education. Because what I've noticed also in most of our schools, African history is not really taught. Like if they want to teach African history, most of them start from colonization, how we were colonized, but they don't start from the
prehistorical era.
Yes, they don't do that. So most people, like you took the example of when Sierra Leone see like a Cameroonian content creator speaking or cooking, they'll be like, "Oh wow, you guys also have this. We have this in our cultures." And one thing I've noticed is specifically with a group of people, I'll call them Nigerians. Like 2 days ago, I was scrolling down TikTok and there was a content about Hausas or Northern Nigerians, and someone made a comment saying, "Oh, I'm sure Nigerians are from Nigeria," which was okay. And someone commented on that and was like, Nigerians northern or Hausas, northern Nigerians or Hausas originated from Nigeria, like Hausas in general. So I don't usually respond to social media, but I'm tired of Nigerians always claiming stuff because I've noticed they don't study history. So I started asking myself, because I always say this, like I have a couple of Nigerian friends, so I asked them, "Do you guys study history?" Because I've noticed this pattern, even in our cooking, when you see a Cameroonian cooking something,
and they claim, "What is Nigeria?"
Yeah, what is Nigeria? So you see other countries, you see a Sierra Leone and come, "Oh wow, you guys have this. Oh, we also have this." You see a Ghanaian, "Oh wow, you guys have this." But no, you stole it from us. You stole this from us. No. And I feel like it's because they don't teach them history. So I had a discussion with more Nigerian people to know why they have this perception that everything originates from Nigeria, and they told me they don't study African history in Nigeria. And yeah, so I was alarmed by that. That's why I said the first thing we have to do is study our history, not from slavery, but before slavery. And when we study that, we will be able to know how we came as one people, how we were divided, and how we can conquer that division. Yeah, I feel like education is the first, then we can see how to move forward from that. Without that,
interesting. Yeah. And when I'm thinking of the pillars of our development, before jumping into education, we must talk about the political crisis in many countries, right? Because it's difficult for young people to learn and grow and assimilate in an environment that is chaotic. And if you talk about the crisis, you touch a little bit of the crisis in Sudan, in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon. Yeah. You talk about Congo, Sudan, and other places. And I know you also mentioned that African leadership must be radically reimagined or reinvented. Yeah. Okay, in terms of leadership, right, it's very obvious that we're undergoing a crisis. You look around recently, there's a coup that just happened in Guinea-Bissau, there's crisis in Sudan, Congo, everywhere. So we're very much dealing with a leadership crisis. How do we reimagine that as, Africans moving forward?
Okay, so firstly, I would say we have to take out the notion that the older you are, the wiser you are. Yeah, because most of our leaders, 80% of African countries have old leaders. Like for example, Cameroon, we have a 92-year-old president, and he's been in power.
But if they have to play the yes, they will tell you if a person is mentally able, regardless of their age, shouldn't they be able to
have they been a country? Has Phobia been able to do anything, guys? No. He's been in power for 2 years,
but you don't know that. How do you?
Because I'm a Cameroonian and I know we Cameroonians suffer. It's just that our suffering is not as loud as other countries. But we're going through a lot. the unemployment rate keeps going higher and higher and higher every single year.
So it's automatic that a younger leader will resolve.
I feel like a younger person will be able to do more than an older person. Yes. Because if you check most of these other countries that go through a lot, as you say in the African context, most of them are old people. Take, for example, Nigeria. Yes, they're going through a lot. And take, for example, Burkina Faso, because I feel like it's not just about having coups, but you need the person succeeding in that coup has to be someone who loves his people. If a person just overtakes the government and keeps doing the same thing the previous government did, there's no need for a coup. But looking at Burkina Faso, seriously, it inspires me every day, and I wish I could just go there and get a nationality. Because
really,
yeah, because
they're giving permanent residency.
I know
young
when I
investors.
Nationality, I'll probably go to Burkina Faso and Hearth. Seriously, just volunteer there for a year. But looking at what Ibrahim Traore is doing, it amazes me, and that's the power of a young thing.
He's quite young.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have examples of young leaders, for example, Madagascar. He got into power. He was 32 years old or so.
That's
why I mean, how he ended, but he was a young man.
Exactly why I said anyone that is overtaking someone or coming into a coup or taking over power has to be going in for the people.
How do we know? You didn't go that they're going for the people or not.
You're going to know.
Andre Rizal, he was young.
You're going to know from their actions.
He was a DJ before getting into. He was a mayor, and then he got into politics. And people thought he would, because he was young and he was in touch with the sufferings of the people, they thought he would bring about change because he understood. But he didn't. He got French citizenship. I don't know if he had it before or after. But so
usually in the 30s,
gerontocracy is the order of the day in Africa. And you're calling for more youthful leadership.
Exactly.
But is that the solution? If the young people themselves aren't ready to take on that leadership, if they haven't been educated, if they don't even carry that same love for the common cause, right? And I see in my personal observation, young people aren't very inclusive in their approach either. So how do we guarantee that the young people wouldn't be even worse off than the current generation?
I feel like the young people currently know the states of their fellow young people, their fellow citizens, and I feel like they know the struggle more than old people. The old guys, they've come, they've left, they've eaten, they're just there for vibes and inshallah, as you say. I feel like they're there for the people.
But think about it. The older presidents now got in young. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
Paul Biya got into power, he was in his late 20s.
Okay.
I mean, not a president, but he got into government.
That's a valid argument.
And many of the older ones now, at what age did
it's not about I understand what you're saying, but it's not about they coming to power. The first thing is the constitution. It's because the constitution permits them to do that. Because even if he came in at 22, if the constitution said you're ruling for 2 years and you're getting out and you're not ruling again, that's fine. But the constitution permits them to rule forever. The first thing first, whoever, regardless of whoever comes in power, the constitution has to change. Because I believe that is the reason why we have old leaderships. They come in, they change the constitution. And I feel like the constitution should not be changed by the president. It should be done by a referendum or something. Because if it's done by them, they favor themselves. They come in, they change it. Like, for example, what happened to Pobia, it wasn't forever. It was, I think it was 4 years renewable twice, if I'm not mistaken.
5 years renewable twice, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And when he came in, he changed it
7 times.
To 7 years. 7 years.
Renewable. That was the language.
So I feel like that's one problem. So whoever come, regardless, that's the first thing they have to change. But I still stand for the fact that
they should retire
leadership
at retirement age.
Yeah. And we are the problems. We the youth of today.
But think about it. I'm thinking there's a deeper problem there in terms of unlearning. And I know you're talking about unlearning and relearning. There's a lot of unlearning that needs to happen even amongst the young people, because most of us young people occupy some level of function in the society. We work in different companies. We operate in different businesses, and we operating our businesses and our different things in ways that show that we could be good leaders tomorrow. Because it doesn't suffice to say bring a young person.
No.
Because I know you talk about empowering.
You have to be qualified.
Are we qualified?
Yeah, you have to be qualified. Not in terms of diplomas, in terms of how you act and how you show that your ability. So it's about how you see yourself as a leader for the people, not because of your degrees or your.
So if you had the ideal model for a good leader for the African context you'd say Traore?
Mm.
Would you say, because I'm very much torn between military rule and, just civilian rule.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, we should be able to rule our countries in a more democratic fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But when people like Traore have to step in and take matters into their own hands, we clap for him because he seemingly is doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
He's implemented moral
Policies,
reforms in Burkina Faso. He's encouraging entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing all of these things. He cut down government spending. But then we have other military people not very far away in Sudan that are encouraging chaos.
It brings us back to my initial point that anyone coming has to be coming in for the people. Burkina Faso has had several coups.
Yeah.
Several. The person before him also did the same thing.
Yeah.
The person before that person.
Yeah.
So it's had several coups. So it still brings me back to the person coming in.
So
also have the luck
trial and error until we find the right leaders.
I feel like even Cameroon should even have a coup if we have the right person. Seriously, because we've gone through the democratic system where it has led us to.
No, but we must understand that violence is never ideal either.
It's never ideal, but even the Bible says the violent take it by force. So if we're coming, if we jump down into religion, the Bible says
there's a huge risk though associated with that because you get into an unending cycle of civil wars.
Yeah, but there's a risk. But we haven't done anything. Right, the risk is that nothing happened. But was Sudan peaceful before then? No. But it's become worse.
True. But what I'm saying is, shouldn't institutions like the African Union or maybe other African leaders encourage peace rather than incite war because the people suffer? The African proverb that says that the elephants fight, the grass suffers. So the people are literally treated like grass in this context because they're suffering. You can't have 10 million plus people displaced from a country because there's two military rulers who were against each other. And the international community, the African community, the African Union is just sitting by and watching. And they're not old men, to your point, either.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be arrested for this, but I feel like the African Union is the most useless union we have in Africa because
really?
They don't help in anything. They don't help in anything. Sudan has been at it for over years, but even the international media does not even know what's happening except for a few months that things started coming up, features started coming up. So before and I feel like we always hope or wait for the international media for international help rather than trying to solve that ourselves.
But the Africans care about what's going on.
They don't. They
think the average African.
How many Africans know
bothers
what
about
happened
what's
in
going
Sudan?
on?
I was talking with a group of Africans I met. I went out to a couple of days, and they don't even know what's happening in Sudan. Like, oh, Sudan having something? Oh, there's a crisis in Congo. Like nobody knows anything about it.
So are we having fatigue? Information fatigue because
I feel like we don't bother as long as you're good in your own area or your own way, you're abroad. You don't care about what's happening back home. You don't care about what's happening in another country. So we don't really care.
So our problem is we do not care.
We do not care. We do not do research.
Why do we not care? Is it because people are busy with their own lives, their own livelihoods, think of themselves?
I feel like because we
making a living.
We think even if we care, nothing will change.
Nothing will change.
Yeah.
So and I have this conversation a lot with people where the common theme is there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's anything anybody can do about it? Young Africans.
I feel like I'm beginning to think there's nothing we cannot do about it. Seeing our last presidential elections, because I kept saying
in Cameroon.
Yeah, in Cameroon, I kept saying there's nothing we can do about it because we already know the system is rigged. We already know how the outcome would be. So at some point, the African youths get tired. They give up.
We are exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Victim blaming.
Mm-hmm.
Who? Accusing colonizers. We're not taking accountability for ourselves. Mm-hmm. We're challenging ourselves that there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
Can we pray? Can you talk about spirituality?
I don't think.
Can we pray about it? Can we pray about problems?
No, I don't think African problems cannot be prayed about it because African.
So people believe that.
People believe that, yes, but African countries are the most. In fact, the continent of Africa is the most prayerful continent in the entire universe. But it is. It is. But the most undeveloped country.
So you're among those who strongly believe that the cause for our development is that we're too spiritual.
No. Okay. I believe that if we want to make change, we have to make change. We cannot sit down and say, "Oh Lord, take over." No, you have to make that change. You cannot wait for someone to make the change for you, no.
But now that Sito talked about faith and spirituality, which you cover a lot in the book. What role does faith and spirituality, both modern or traditional African religions, Christianity, Islam, do you think that faith can be used as an anchor towards our growth? Because faith is a system of belief, right? So if people believe that the God or the gods they believe in can help and rescue them, can that be an anchor towards their forward?
You can have your faith, you can have your beliefs. My main focus was on religion. You know, in religion, we have several religions: Muslims, Christian, and this brings us a divide. Muslims are fighting against Christians. Christians are fighting against atheists. Atheists are fighting. Everyone is fighting against themselves. It's not about belief. You can believe in God. You can pray to your God. But I feel like religion separates us more. Like, for example, what is happening in Nigeria, we would say, or you would say, is a Christian genocide, but I would say it's a Nigerian genocide. Everybody's dying. When a terrorist wants to capture you, he does not ask you, are you Muslim? Are you Christian? No, they will keep.
But evidence seems to point that they're targeting churches.
They are targeting. Have you read? Have you gone through all the news outlets? They are targeting Christian. They're targeting Muslim. They burnt Muslim mosques. They burn churches. They burn everything. And even when they want to kidnap you, they don't ask you your faith or they don't ask you your religion. They do that. So I believe, and that's what I'm saying. Religion breaks the divide because people are now putting religion in front, saying no, it's only Christians that being captured and being targeted. No. Everybody is dying. I'm not Nigerian, but I do a lot of research and I see a lot of news outlets, so I know about them. I'm not there, but I do my research properly. So I feel like it should be titled a genocide is happening in Nigeria, because when we start putting religion, separating it, means you don't care about the other people because you're not Christians. You don't care about this. You only care about these group of people because they're Christians, which is not okay.
What would you say about Trump's recent, interventions?
I feel like
his words on. Sorry.
I feel like it's a bad idea. Trump does not care about his own people even. Why would he care about you? If Trump is coming to Nigeria, he's not coming to save them. How is he going to save them? So, personally, I'm not.
Does this fall under a new colonialist agenda?
I feel like we've been there, we've done that. So I feel like it's going to be a repetition, because that's how they start. They start by seeing a problem, and trying to pretend to solve the problem, and very soon they'll be having military bases, and very soon you hear, oh, Trump has appointed this person to be a president for now because the current president could not do anything about the Christian genocide happening, and that's how we start. They start controlling. That's what happened, I think, in Congo and all of these other countries. That's how it starts, and they start forming military bases based on an agenda, as they would say. But yeah, there's a genocide. Christians are dying, Muslims are dying, everyone is dying. But I feel like he might use it as a tactic to come in. If he really wants to save Nigerians, why is he not giving them visas to come to them? For example, I think the beginning of this year, he mentioned about a white genocide happening in South Africa, where he invited all the white people, give them green cards. So why is it not?
But there wasn't a genocide against white South Africa.
Exactly, but it was an agenda. That's what he said. And he still maintains the fact that that's why he's having a beef with Ramaphosa, because he keeps insisting that it's a white genocide happening, that black people are killing white farmers. Propaganda. You might think that they are true because someone is telling you, but you have to look that up for yourself, and you have to know if someone is doing something because they want to do it or because they have an agenda towards it.
What was his agenda in this context?
That's something according to him there was, and what did he do? He took action. He invited all those white people to America and gave them green card. So if he wants to help Nigerian Christians, why is he not giving all Nigerian Christians a green card to America? No, Trump does not even like black people. He calls black people aliens. So why do you think he's going to come and save you because you are? No. I don't think so.
That's interesting.
I feel like when I saw that and I saw a lot of Nigerians in the comment section, yes, President Trump, save us, our God on earth, yes, he's been sent back. I'm like, are you kidding me? You have to fight your administration, you have to fight your government to save you. You have to save yourself. And who is committing this crime? A black person. And that's what brings me to black on black crimes. It's not a white man coming to kidnap you. It's not a white man doing the terrorism. No, it's a black person. So we blacks say it ourselves. So before we want to point fingers, to colonizers, even if the white person paid a black man to do that, why are you as a black person allowing yourself to be used by a white person to harm your fellow black person? So we are the problems. We have a problem, and it's internal. And I don't think it's going to be solved. Seriously, we are full of hate.
Why? Because we don't have a sense of identity? What would you say?
Even if we do, it's not about sense of identity. I feel like even in our own, even within our own cultures, you see a Bamileke, see it's not a Bamileke. So you have the identity of a Bamileke really, but you see it on a Bamileke. So I don't feel like it's sense of identity. We just have hate. We just have
but that's followed by what? If you're not feeling fully confident in who you are as a people, if you're not educated, if you've not been instilled the values of who you are, to me, it seems like an identity crisis. Because if you look at Americans, for example, or Chinese, from a very young age, they instill in them those values. They instill in them those, patriotic values. You take care of your people. You don't do this. You don't do that. You're patriotic. Africans don't seem to have that. We don't seem to have that sense of. We don't have that sense of a strong and defined identity in who we are as people and who we are as a continent. And it seems to me that when we look to outside saviors for our to come and save us pretty much from our different issues, it begs the question, why can't we find amongst ourselves people that can lead us faithfully? I think about that all the time, and I'm wondering, will this generation spring forward faithful leaders? And I'm very scared, and I think that the answer is no for now.
I used to think that we're a better generation before and we would be different from our forefathers, but sometimes I'm beginning to think we act just like them. Exactly. A few days ago, I questioned myself. I'm like, oh, if this person thinks this way, then why do we blame our grandfathers for being colonized? If you were in their era, you would have been colonized as well.
100%.
The way that we think,
100%
lack critical thinking. For real, we. Hold on, I don't know how to say it, but I will just put it in we lack critical thinking.
Okay. So for someone who's listening to this conversation and who feels overwhelmed, first of all, it's amazing if someone is having such a conversation, right? Either among themselves or listening to a conversation about these things, because most people don't even want to. They feel overwhelmed. They feel like there's nothing they can do about it. They'd rather, move out of their country and just go find a safe haven somewhere else. So someone who's listening, what is a small practical thing they can do to, quote unquote, break the chains, because most of the times we tell ourselves that there's nothing we can do. So what can the average listener who feels like they don't have any power to do anything, what can they do? What small thing can they do to break the chain?
So firstly, I don't think there's one answer for that, but I would say it's a systematic problem, and in order to break that, you have to start from the roots. Because as I said earlier, it's not all about the leadership and everything. We as a people also have a problem. We have a problem of, as you mentioned, identity, greed, corruption. It starts from us. So we have to be good people to one another. Yeah, if you meet someone in the store or your store seller, you want to sell a product, you have to be conscious. Because
be honest.
Yeah, you have to be honest. Honesty starts from
the moral way.
You have to have moral decency. Yeah,
and even at the household level, we need to be educating our kids.
Educating our kids. Because some people will be like, oh, okay, I now live in America. I don't have that problem, but you have family back home, and you will never be an American, even if you have an American citizenship. You will never be. You will still be African. You will still be Cameroonian and Nigerian and everything. So you still have to work towards that. If you have kids tomorrow, they grow up and they want to go back to the country, you don't say go back to the country you left. So even if you're far away, you still have to, participate, contribute in the evolution back home in one way or the other. There are a lot of ways to do that. You just have to figure out how you can help your society evolve. It does not take one person, it takes a community of people. It's like you raising a child, they will say it takes a village to raise a child. But like we have to do it as a people. You as an individual have to know yourself, have to be able to accept yourself for who you are.
And just a good place to end our conversation. You call for reflection, reclaiming, and rebuilding, and you ask every single individual African to pause and reflect and consider what it is that we can do as a people to grow, to change, to unlearn, and to let go of this invisible chains that hold us back. And I think it's a beautiful call to action by inciting that feeling in people, because not that we don't know that we need change, just people have forgotten that it's something that should be everybody's problem, and we should all care about the cause, so to speak. We should all care about developing as a people and as a group and as a collective. So I found this book very enlightening and inspiring. And please tell us, where can for anyone watching, where can you find this book?
Oh, you can find it on Amazon. We have the Kindle version for those that don't like reading books, so you can find the electronic version, and you can find the hardback and the paperback as well. You can also find it on Barnes & Noble and Kobo, or you can just go to Google. On the Google search bar, you type in "Think Beyond the Change," it's going to pop up, and you can see exactly where to get it.
Lionella Sache, thanks for joining us on the Heart of Thought. It was an amazing conversation. We should definitely do it again because there's a lot to cover. The African conversation, be it politics, you may or may not be interested, but things like household management, religion, and other things that concern us, our education, those things are important, and we should all feel very concerned about these things. So feel free to look this up and grab a copy, and I hope you do read it because it's something I wanted to talk about, but we can have such another day about that people even read. Food for thought. Do you read? What was the last book you read? Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And I encourage you all to always read and do your research. You're never too old enough to read. You're never too young enough to know more.
Alright guys, please, if you like this conversation, like it, comment your thoughts below, subscribe, share, and don't forget to grab a copy of Think Beyond the Chains by Lionella Sache. Until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.